you had to make $1 billion a year to be a billionaire. Real talk, I did. I never thought about it. I just
Nope.
thought, $1 billion a year, like, I'm so far away. And then I was like, oh, silly Alex, that's not how it works. It's you make $2 billion over the course of your life, and after taxes, you have $1 billion. So
Not really.
that seems more doable. And then once I understood like how assets are valued and things like that, I was like, oh, you just get a 10x multiple on 100 million, and there you go, you're a billionaire. So
There it is. And think about it too. What he said is correct on the assets valuation, but like for you guys, you're like, oh yeah, that's how companies are valued. The normal or semi-financially educated person understands what he just said, right? Now let me just, like I said, let's go a step deeper because this is Michael Eden, so I like to go deeper into this. And when you're educated to, I'm not an expert, I'm never claiming I'm an expert, I'm just a very like big financial nerd, but I'm gonna give you guys a chance to think. With this information, what can you do with it? I'll give you 10 seconds. Write a comment, whatever. With this information, what can you do with it? All right, let's just say I waited 10 seconds. I hate staring at the camera. It's kind of awkward. So you get my point. Like most of you guys probably can think, well, I don't know, I could start a company and then I know I can sell it for 10x. That's at best, that's what the somewhat educated person is going to think, you know, or even the normal people. Now, let me tell you this. When you're very educated, I'm not saying this to be condescending, I'm saying this to motivate you to read more books and stuff like that. When you get a certain amount of knowledge, you reach a threshold where the random information no longer seems random. They all seem connected. It's like dots on a okay, I'm bad at analogies. This is why Alex has 1 million followers and I have 2. Okay, I'm bad at analogies, guys. Sorry. But once you get enough information, the dots start to connect, and you start seeing patterns. Like one of your brain's cognitive biases is the ability to recognize patterns when there isn't one, or to seek pattern recognition, I should say. So you start seeking a pattern. Now, let me tell you this. This is how everyday people can benefit from this knowledge. And when I do consulting and other things that help people, I know I try to meet them at their level. So I think everyone can see value from this. Now, when you earn money, right, through your job, that your income is not seen as an asset. As a whole, your cash flow directly is not from your job, is not seen as an asset, right? When you earn money from your job, you get your paycheck, that's not an asset. No one's saying like, oh, because you earn $20,000 a year, Michael, you know, you're worth $100,000 and we'll give you a loan for $100,000 off that $20,000 income. No one's going to do that. You know, no one really is going to do that. You know, you have debt to income ratios and other things, but I'm not trying to get too deep in that. My point is this: even on the personal balance sheet, which is what most people live off of, which is like your personal credit card lines, your jobs, all those things called a personal balance sheet, your personal business, right? You have a personal balance sheet and a business balance sheet. You say it's zero because if you don't have any business, you say you have a business balance sheet still, but it just is $0 right now. Everything's on the personal side. Your house is under your name, your car is under your name, your job is to your employer, your name, everything's on the personal balance sheet side. Stay with me, guys. I'm making a really important point, so if you can just focus to the end of this video, you'll get a lot of value. So with that being said, with the understanding that on your personal balance sheet, let's say the maximum leverage you can get on your hard work from your job is maybe 4.5 to 5 times, depending on the interest rates, and that is usually in the form of a mortgage. So if you make $50,000 a year, just roughly, okay, $50,000 a year, times that by, like, let's say 4.5, let's say 5 for easier math. $50,000 a year times 5, you will get qualified to buy a house worth $250,000. That is the maximum value of your income capacity at $50,000 a year. So on your personal balance sheet, usually the best amount of leverage or the best amount of valuation you're given, right, is through a mortgage, right, and do a house you can get, right? So with that being said, when you work hard, at best, honestly, at best, you are getting a 5x multiple and that's only if you're using a house. And the closest thing to owning a company the average person will ever have is owning a home. So that's like the equivalent for the normal person, so just like Alex said, it's a 10x multiple on the business side, right? But on the revenue side, for personal balance sheet people on their jobs, it's a 5x multiple to what you can extend that to. So you can extend it to $250,000 home and you buy a home. Now, why is this important? So now to hit on the flip side, let's say you told your boss, and this is what you can do, actionable steps. And I know it's scary for some of you guys because you have been conditioned to fear the IRS and taxes ruthlessly instead of having the gall to say, no, I'm just gonna be educated. So anything they come at me for, I will just have the education to come at them 10 times harder, but anyway, moving forward. So what I'm about to say is this. Instead of earning $50,000 a year as a W-2 employee, hear me out, especially if you're working at like a medium to small company, to say, hey, I'll work everything exactly the same, especially if you have a really understanding employer. You say, I'll work everything exactly the same for you. I'll go to the meetings, I do everything. Because technically, if you become a contractor, you're no longer legally obligated to have a fixed schedule if you transition. But you are going to open an LLC or a business, sole proprietorship, but typically an LLC, right? This is what you're going to do. So let's say I'm an accountant. Well, I'm done being an accountant because it's not worth my time anymore. But if I was still an accountant, right, I would say, hey, instead of hire me as your accountant, hire my accounting consulting services, right? And our business relationships remain exactly the same as it is now. So for you, no longer, for starters, most people don't understand that what you get paid at the end of the day, your employer is still paying more than what you get. So let's say your employer agrees to pay you a $50,000 salary. As a business owner, it costs probably $60,000 to actually maintain you. So you're just receiving the $50,000, but he has other expenses for having you as an employee that makes the actual business operational expense above $50,000 to retain that employee. So you can say, hey, I know it's more expensive for me to be a W-2 employee, but how about this? I'll give you all the perks that we have right now as your employee, but you transition me to that of a contractor or a consulting agency. You pay me the same flat rate. Don't worry about taxes anymore. So this will up your income just by the fact that you get all your money first and then you do your taxes later, right? So that's one way you up your income. The second way is using the same method that Alex is talking about. Your income is no longer worth 5x multiple because of you giving a mortgage for your house. Your income alone, stand alone through your consulting agency. Well, this could be consulting because or working agency, whatever you want to call it. Let's say accounting, staffing and agency, whatever you want to call it, right? And you get the same paycheck, right? You can say no. You can even make some money on the spread. Say like, okay, I know it costs $60,000 to retain me. Turn me into a contractor, or I'm an LLC out into an accounting consulting agency, right? And let's meet in the middle. You pay me $55,000. You save $5,000 on the fact that I'm no longer an employee, but I'll give you all the same other work and benefits, right? So he wins, you win, and then on your business balance sheet, now your income is seen as business income, and your business income, like he said, is worth a 10x multiple. And when you have a 10x multiple, then you can go to certain agencies. You don't have to sell your company for 10x, but they will see that business being valuated at that much, so you can get credit at a 10x rate. And this is not just theory crafting. This stuff I don't want to give away the things I do, but this is stuff that people can do. Okay, and when I was talking about like reaching deca millions and stuff like that, and financial, so the hard work is the education part for me, but you can get rich relatively fast, but it's not easy. I spent 10 years of being isolated and obsessed with numbers. I am a complete nerd for this, and that's the reason why now I'm 28, but now I can probably outdo my life's work in like the next 3 or 4 years moving forward. That's my point. So be smart, guys. Think critically. I just want to show you that when you're educated, what a simple short can do, because someone who's intellectually educated on a higher level, it's this simple short from Alex from Hormozi. I like, oh, if I wasn't already doing what I'm doing, I'm like, oh yeah, that works. Bam, 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 bam. Easily go from 250K in leverage to extended capital leverage to boom, 500,000. And it raised my income by $5,000 with my former employer, because now I'm LLC. And I'll reduce my tax burden by using efficient tax methods. But the key thing though, especially if you're not making a lot of money, is you want the game of being super tax efficient is smart, but not really the smartest if you're playing the long game. Until you are making a large sum of money, I don't really recommend this whole not avoidance, tax minimizing strategy of 401ks. If you're making less than like $200,000 a year, you are better off getting taxed. And the reason why is because you want to show as much disposable income to borrow from the future. If you're using traditional financial methods of borrowing money, they want to see what you've been taxed by. Anyone who owned a business knows this. Like, hey, I did too many tax write-offs, so my profit only shows $1,000. Can you give me a $200,000 loan? My revenue was this high. A lot of people's going to say no, because this is what your profit shows. This is how much you can afford. So that's why I'm saying taxing is not so black and white to completely avoid, especially when you're just trying to grow and if you're trying to scale. So be smart. I'm not trying to give a blanket rule for how to do taxes, because even though accounting is my thing, I actually hated the tax portion. Just complete transparency. I hate taxes. An accountant who hates taxes. I hate taxes. I love the business, managerial controller, wealth management, risk assessment, cash flow models. That's my thing. Hate taxes. I really hate taxes. Did I mention I hate taxes? All right, so I'm not even talking about hate being taxed. That's not fun either. I just hate doing it. But okay, my rant is over on that. So that's what I'm saying. Stay focused, guys. Read, get educated, read with a purpose. And once you do, you get to a level where you have such a large skill set that little things like these things that most people watch and not really receive much value because they don't have this tool set and the knowledge to leverage this type of information that Alex just gave. You can be very dangerous with it. And just keep watching, subscribe. If you haven't subscribed already, you'll learn a lot more. If you like if you understood what I said, you like what I said, and you want to learn how critical thinking can improve your life in relationships, business, and personal development, then be sure to subscribe to Michael Eden. I'll see you guys next time. Just remember, guys, treat your brain like a muscle and to exercise it.